Hey guys, thanks a lot for clicking on this video. As you can tell by the thumbnail, today we're going to take a look at the 10 toughest N64 bosses. Starting off our list, number 10, Bowser from Mario 64. Those with incredible aim and an uncanny understanding of that awkward camera angles that this game provided may find this to be an easy battle, but for everyone else it can be pretty damn tricky. It makes for one of the most iconic Mario fights ever, and well deserving to be on this list. You need amazing hand-eye coordination, an understanding of the clunky camera, and mastering all of Mario's jumps are essential just to get to the battle against Bowser in Super Mario 64. The fight is fairly straightforward, as it's almost identical to the other times you have to battle him throughout the game. Only this time things are made even more tricky when the stage breaks down into the shape of a power star, which makes tossing King Koopa into the conveniently placed spike mines something of a pain. Coming in at number 9 is Gruntilda in her Hag 1 from Banjo-Tooie. Now Gruntilda is back again in the Banjo sequel, Banjo-Tooie. This boss fight with the witch is different and complex. Gruntilda battles you in her tank named the Hag 1. During this fight, not only will Gruntilda shoot at Banjo, but she'll also stop to ask you questions that refer to the game. You're given about 5 seconds to answer each question, and with one mistake, Gruntilda will make her attacks even quicker, making the fight even more intense. In between the questions and during the fight, you must use certain eggs to shoot her to deal the most damage. Fighting this witch is always challenging, but it's also executed really well by Rare. And it's usually a good time, despite the chance of having to start over a few times. Number 8, King Krusha Krule. That's a tongue twister. From Donkey Kong 64. King K. Rool is a well-known antagonist in the Donkey Kong franchise. He's also known to have some of the most brutal boss fights. I'm thinking back to the SNES. This is one of the longest fights in the game. Jeez, it's one of the longest boss fights compared to a lot of games on the N64. The fight in Donkey Kong 64 takes place in a boxing ring with all 5 Kongs against King Krusha K. Rool. Yes, I'm going to keep saying it. Each round has a time limit, and dying or running out of time means the whole fight will start over. This irritating little wrinkle is fitting, actually, because although the expansion pack packing title is beloved amongst every N64 fan, it's also notorious for the painful amount of backtracking. Number 7, Boba Fett, Shadows of the Empire. Shadows of the Empire is an infamously difficult game, which has been an area of criticism for an otherwise very appreciated Star Wars entry. The difficulty is sometimes a selling point, others it's the cheat codes. Still, some people were just happy to use the new character at the time, Dash Rendar. Now, some people may feel that the IG-88 was a tough fight, but even the most hardcore of fans should be able to admit that the Boba Fett fight is just plain unfair. Now, learning how to find the bounty hunter and avoiding his attacks while landing some on him is already exceedingly difficult, but even after you beat him, he pulls off one of the coolest or dirtiest tricks in a boss battle. He hops into Slave 1 for another round of a painstaking battle. Number 6, Beast Hector from Mischief Makers. Now, Mischief Makers is one of the best games on the N64 you probably never heard of, or at least you don't usually remember. It's a rare side-scroller that's executed excellently, alliteration aside. This has 7 difficult bosses, but the last one takes the cake. The Beast Hector is a super cool Megazord-looking robot, only this version is super evil. Avoiding damage can feel impossible at first, and that's because it almost is, but with enough perseverance, you will ultimately find yourself grabbing him by the foot and shaking him into oblivion. Okay guys, it's that time in the video where I have to throw out an honorable mention. So this list's honorable mention goes to Carnage from Spider-Man. Now Carnage is a very hard to beat boss because he seems to be invulnerable to physical attacks. You can try and hurt him as much as you want with punching and kicking, but there's a good chance that he'll slice your head off before you even lay a finger on him. Your only hope is to try as hard as you can to knock him into the sonic bubble placed in the middle of the battle room, since that's really the only way you'll be able to kill him. Now, the tricky thing is, the bubble can also hurt you, and it takes up a good portion of the room, so you gotta use your spidey senses. Number 5. Ganon from The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. Now, Ganon has more often than not been the main antagonist in the Zelda series. In The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time, Ganon is a pretty tough boss fight. Ganon's first form as Ganondorf, he can be beaten relatively quickly, but in his second transformation, however, Ganon knocks away the Master Sword, leaving you to resort to other strategies. Figuring out which tool works the best is a fun but tricky part, as it can seem redundant. If Link completes the optional mission to achieve the Goron Sword, the second half of the battle will not be as tough. During the second part, Navi will also come back to help. Hitting Ganon's tail is the weak point to bring him down. While the boss fight altogether is a challenge, beating Ganon is always very fulfilling. Number 4. Majora. The Legend of Zelda: Majora's Mask. Now, just on the N64, the Legend of Zelda franchise has some of the most awesome boss fights, so much so that they have a back-to-back entry on this list. Majora is one of the weirdest villains in the Zelda series. The evil that lives within the mask is what gives this game, The Legend of Zelda: Majora's Mask, its name. Now, Majora is not only tough to beat, but it is also exceedingly creepy, and it's also a 3-tiered boss battle. Majora is a pain to overcome. The spinning form is difficult to hit with the arrows, and the human form is so fast it's practically a blur. Majora's final form uses whips to keep its distance from Link. Completing an optional quest to acquire the fierce deity's mask can make this fight a little easier, but it doesn't give you that much of an advantage. Good luck, have fun with this one. Number 3. Andros. Star Fox 64. First off, I have to mention how much I love Star Fox music. All of the games, from the SNES, even the adventure game on the GameCube, they all have great tracks. Maybe a top 10 toughest bosses for the GameCube next. Anyway, after defeating the annoyingly difficult Star Wolf on Venom, you'll have a final confrontation with Andros' true form, the evil monkey mastermind. After destroying his outer head shell, you'll need to destroy his brain and eyeballs in all-ranged mode. His eyeballs are constantly following you around, so actually hitting them and his brain will be very complicated. You will also probably be low on energy from your fight with Starwolf, which will make the challenge of defeating him even more dreadful. Number 2, Miser, from Jet Force Gemini. Okay, so let's start off. This bug is tough. Getting to the battle with him is hard enough. This is a difficult game, but taking him on is a completely different story. Miser employs the classic boss tactics of blasting a seemingly unavoidable barrage of attacks that drain an obscene amount of damage with a single hit, and then combines it with the added nightmare of offering players no opportunity to pick up health or ammo. Now, with all that being said, I also heard that if he starts off shooting his laser eyes, you just need to rocket him in the face 3 quick times and the fight is all over. Could that be the reason that he didn't climb the mountain up to spot number 1? Either way, I wouldn't sit around hoping for good RNG. This battle is still gonna be tough. And coming in at number 1, Whiz Pig from Diddy Kong Racing. Now, you wouldn't think a racing game with such child-friendly graphics would be home to the most unforgiving boss, but Whiz Pig is a beast, literally and figuratively. You're going to need to beat him in a one-on-one race through a village, and he will stop at nothing to get ahead and stay ahead of you. If you want to stand a chance against this evil pig, make sure you play as the fastest car driver and hit all of the zippers at the right angle to get the green turbo. Now, with that being said, he's still going to give you one hell of a race. With Whiz Pig's speed, it's almost impossible to pass him, and he's faster than he seems. Every boost on the course must be hit in order to get relatively close to him. Drifting plays a significant role in this race, and it helps to shorten the curves. But one missed boost or one wrong turn, just one, and you might as well restart the race because you are not going to catch him. Get ready to put some time into this one because it seems unbeatable. Hats off to you if you've beaten him. And that's going to do it for my list of the 10 toughest N64 bosses. Of course, I'd love to see your rankings down in the comments, or let me know if you feel that there was a different boss battle that deserves to be on this list. Thanks again for stopping by. I really appreciate your time and clicking and watching what I do on YouTube. Until next week, gang, take care.